Hey guys, Logan here with Presently Impermanent, and in this video we're going to be talking about Carl Jung, archetypes, and the journey to self-discovery. So for those of you who don't know who Carl Jung is, he was a famous, I believe, Swiss psychologist, and all of the personality assessments out there now, to some extent, have some basis of the work that Carl Jung has done. If you look at Big Five, if you look at MBTI, Myers-Briggs, 16 personalities, the concepts of introversion and extroversion come from Carl Jung. And the interesting thing is that a lot of these tests, like the 16 personalities, even Big Five, had a massive impact on my life. The more I understood them, the more I learned about them, the more I learned about other types, I began to realize that society and we as a people do have common patterns that we can find within the constructs. And if we can understand those patterns within ourselves and with other people, we can actually live a more meaningful life. And Carl Jung understood this at every single level possible. He understood this most deeply from the spiritual level. It was him who said, if you want to reach the highest form of heaven, then the roots must first reach the highest form of hell or lowest form of hell. Something along those lines. In order for a tree to reach heaven, then its roots must grow to hell. That's the level he was on. That was how he spoke and thought, and he had many concepts on collective consciousness. Now, one of the things about Carl Jung's work that's really interesting is archetypes. Now, for the people who are interested in Myers-Briggs and 16 personalities, I got great success out of learning it. I studied it for like 5 years, and it helped me significantly. But when I started diving deeper and deeper into Jung's work, I realized that a lot of the MBTI stuff is actually just a watered down version to make things less complicated for people, which is actually important because people can still get help without having to make things complicated. But for those of you who want deeper answers, deeper truths, the really important thing to look into is Carl Jung's archetypes. Carl Jung had 12 archetypes of the human psyche that he developed or found. And these archetypes are actually what drive and motivate us to do the things we do, to explore the passions we have. And when we are out of alignment with those archetypes, life gets really hard. So for me, we all have three main archetypes. The three that I have: number one, outlaw; number two, magician; and number three, explorer. Now, these can change over time, but it's really important to know them, because if you don't know them, I believe the other quote Carl Jung had that is very good, until you make the subconscious conscious, you will continue to, let's see if I can pull it out of my head. The things that are happening in your life now will continue to happen, and you'll call them fate. Essentially, he said it much better than me, but that's the gist of it. Until you make the subconscious conscious, the things that are happening will continue to happen, and you will call it fate instead of identifying what you actually need to do to change yourself. And so, looking at these archetypes, outlaw. The outlaw is a really interesting archetype. It is the person that likes to go against the grain. It's the person who likes to challenge the status quo. So that's me. Keep that in mind. Magician, explorer of human consciousness, understanding the depths of human consciousness, going from not only just being happy to also wanting to explore the other side of that. And so magicians are very good at being able to guide themselves and others out of dark situations. It's essentially transmutation of emotion. And then finally, I have the explorer archetype. Explorers like to go do different things. They like to go try new things. They like to be in different environments all the time. They like to go to new countries and travel. So, what do you think would happen if you put me in an environment that didn't allow me to ask questions, an environment that didn't allow me to go really deep with people, in an environment that didn't allow me to explore past the confines of bureaucracy? What would happen? Well, I'll tell you what happened. I developed eczema all over my face, all over my body, and I got really sick. And I was working as a nurse. in a hospital, which is very bureaucratic. And so, why am I telling you all of this? Well, the archetypes are really important. If I understood my archetypes then, I never would have gone down that career path, and I would have saved 7 years of my life. I'm glad that I went down that path. It actually allowed me to become more of a magician, because if I didn't go down that path, I wouldn't understand human consciousness as well. And being in a stressful environment in a hospital, taking care of people who were dying, really elevated me. And also, I mean, it elevated me by making me sick first, where I then had to go on a journey, and a hero's journey of self-discovery. And this is the stuff that Jung talks about, is like, this is consciousness. And so where I'm at now is completely different, because I had that experience, and I didn't understand my archetypes then, because no one's really talking about this online. It's very hard to find information about it. And when I discovered my archetypes, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Why would I ever be a nurse? Now I work as an entrepreneur. Now I work as a coach. I help people transmute their pain into their power. So that's the magician. I'm currently in Northeast Brazil, and I'm actually more successful than ever in many aspects, because I have more freedom than ever. And I'm an outlaw. I get to do whatever I want. And this goes completely against the career I had before. So my story is just a story that illuminates the human experience. I'm sure for many of you watching this video, you have your own story. And if you feel out of alignment in your life, if you feel like you have a deeper purpose, you feel like you are more inspiring to other people, but you don't know how to step into it fully, then I inspire you or encourage you to take a look at your archetypes. And the best way to do this, it actually took me a very long time to find it. I've done 20 plus different personality tests, studied them immensely, done all types of courses and retreats and all these things. The best one that I've ever found is called Logos. I'm currently partnered with a company. Hey there, little guy. He's a little cute puppy. Look at this guy. Oh, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? So I currently, or recently, discovered this company. I'm partnered with them now. Incredible. What they do is they essentially give you an assessment test that's not like all the other assessment tests. All the other assessment tests, Big Five, Myers-Briggs, StrengthsFinder, DISC, all of these things, they actually give you, this dog is so cute, oh my God. They give you a cookie cutter approach. So you can understand yourself a lot more deeply than you ever would if you didn't take these tests. But they give you a cookie cutter, which means if I'm an ENFP in the 16 personalities Myers-Briggs, and 7 billion people take the test, if there's a certain percentage of the population that's ENFP, then there could be, let's say, 10 million ENFPs. So that's 10 million people that got the exact same results. And it's helpful, it's useful. People can understand themselves more, but it's not fully personalized. And so when you can understand your unique archetypes, the 3 that you're going to have, if there's 12 archetypes, and there's, God, this dog, there's 12 archetypes, and you have 3, there can be a mass variety of mixture based on what your archetype is going to be. And understanding this allows you to go deeper into the other things that the test goes into, which is a deeper version of Enneagram. Enneagram allows you to see childhood patterns, and it also lets you see character traits. So for example, the Myers-Briggs test, Big Five scores 5 different attributes. Myers-Briggs scores 4 different attributes. Logos scores 72 different traits. So you can see your archetype, you can see your inner childhood patterns, you can see your leadership skills, and you can see your traits. Traits being emotional, competency, intelligence, all of these things. And the cool thing about this test is that you can take it, and you can take it again 6 months later. And for example, if you were to work with me, we do a call together after you take the test, or you just take the test and read it on your own. And you identify that there's some things you want to work on, like your patience, or maybe you aren't in purpose right now. So we look at your archetypes and we redesign how you're living your life so you can live more in line with those archetypes. You can come back and take the test again, and your traits, like your patience score, your self-appreciation, you can actually see them move. And this is really important because you can use this as a tool to see the progress you've made over time. Whereas if you take 16 personalities again, you could potentially score as a different person, and then you've created an identity as a certain thing, right? Whereas with this test, we can see how you change over time, and it's really valuable. And ultimately, Carl Jung's work is really important because he's laid the foundation for humanity to go deeper into understanding human consciousness from the depths. And he's probably the guy I would love to have dinner with if I had the option to talk to anyone, because the guy was just so tapped in with his discussions on collective consciousness and his, if you guys have never seen his red book of psychiatry, the thing is massive. And this guy just put out so much work. And I think really ultimately his yearning to discover self and understand the human conscious, the human spirit, human consciousness, was ultimately what made him one of the greats. And his name will be around for a very long time. So that is it. If you guys want to know more about archetypes, I'll make a video going into each one. And if you are interested in taking the test, then I encourage you to click the link below, and you can either just buy the test outright, or you can book a call with me to have the test read and also give you insight and coaching based off of the best steps to take to move forward in the goals that you want to reach. So it's a beautiful day here in Canoa Quebrada, here for a liver detox retreat. So remember to remember that we only have one life and we're all going to die. So grab the bull by the horns and let's go. Later.